Shanti Shanti.
Adrashyam means which does not have all these qualities. Then agrahyam means which is not graspable by the organs of action. You cannot hold it, you cannot kick it. By any of the karmendriyas, you cannot grasp it. That is also the properties of the objective world. So then comes agotram. Agotram means which does not have its origin. In the material world, everything has a cause. Everything has an origin. Now if you look for the origin, you get something, but again you look for a further cause of that. Because our general worldly perception, they give a sense of causality in us. It becomes our habit. So we are always looking for causality. If you think well, you will find God also is because of that. Why do we think of God at all? Because we understand that something is, cause is there behind everything. So what is the cause of the universe? What is the cause of the creation? So we conceive of a God who has created the universe. So we are trying to apply the causality to God also. The God is actually a concept of us. It is coming from an extrapolation of the causality. Extrapolation, you understand? Extension of the causal chain. Actually it is a forbidden extrapolation. When I say that, I mean that if you causally extend, it will never end. Because you can ask who created God? If God is also some being, some intelligent being, then who has created God? Where from did God arise? That question will never end. That is how from religion we progress to spirituality. When the inquiry dawns, we are not happy with that. Finally we understand that if at all there is any ultimate reality, then it has to be beyond causality. By its definition, it has to be beyond causality. Because otherwise this chain will never end. You will ask what is beyond, what is beyond, what is beyond. This understanding is very important. So agotram means, gotra means from source where it has come. Truly speaking, there is no material source for this truth. Avarnam. Varna means color, qualities, etc. You cannot distinguish by any of the color or qualities as we have for the objective world. So the entire first line, that adreshyam, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, these are all the qualities of the objects and the objective world we are seeing. The truth or the Atma or the Paramatma or the Brahman or the consciousness, it does not have any of these at all. So when the Westerners said that, Western scientists, some famous scientists, they said that the East has got the last answer and consciousness is the ultimate reality of this universe. I doubt whether they understood correctly. Whatever I have read from their statements, I can understand they have not understood what is consciousness. When they said that, they think consciousness still as an object. Object means not material object, but something you can one day know and discover as consciousness. We can never discover consciousness as something different from me. If you say that, well, I have discovered this is the self or this is consciousness, then it is not the self, it is not the consciousness, because you are still knowing that. So you are the consciousness, you are the self. Am I clear or it is difficult? So consciousness also, when we say consciousness is the source of the entire universe, we don't mean it as an objective source. This consciousness can be known only as the amness in us. As Swamiji was saying yesterday, the is the amness in us. It cannot be known as, oh, I have known this is the consciousness. No, it cannot be known. Then it becomes an object of perception, object of knowledge. It is something inert, not the sentience, not the consciousness. So that is why they said agotram avarnam. That is, this does not have any of these object properties. The second line, you see how beautifully in such one composite word they explain the whole truth. You should be amazed at their creation. These are creations coming from it's a liberated state of the mind. So they automatically come in this form. In one word, that yat tadadreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam. If you think about this, you will get at the truth by itself. Only additional in the next they have said that achakshu shrotram tada panipadam. Then is it that it does not have the qualities of an object or material universe, but it has the qualities as we have. Generally God we conceive of in as a replica of human being, as a super intelligence or so. Does it have those? He says no. Achakshu shrotram, he does not have the eyes, does not have the ears. Tad apanipadam, it does not have the hands, it does not have the legs. That means the first one is achakshu shrotram. It cannot see, it cannot hear, it cannot taste, it cannot smell, it cannot touch. None of the sense organs this truth has. Call him God, Paramatma or Atma or Brahman. He does not have any of the sense organs we have. So don't make a mistake of seeing God as somebody like us. That is what they mean. It not only it does not have the vastuguna, the object properties, it does not have the subject properties we are associated with generally. That is also not there. Apanipadam means it does not have feet. Yesterday I said that Puri Jagannatha is conceived of in this manner. It does not have anything, but it has an eye. There is a meaning behind that also. It has only the eyes without a focus. Now, so this second line in a nutshell, it expresses it is beyond the kartri bhoktri bhava or kartritva bhoktritva guna. You can say kartritva bhoktritva varjitam. Kartritva means apanipadam, it cannot do anything. Bhoktritva means achakshu shrotram, it cannot see, cannot smell, cannot hear. So where is the question of bhoga, enjoyment? Bhoktritva means enjoyment. It cannot enjoy also anything. Then what it is? He says nityam. Nityam means always it is the same, it is there. Now, when we say nityam, at the beginning of the creation this was there. Where is that the beginning? Beginning, when we are saying, it is beginning of time. The time is, you cannot extend it before the beginning of the time. So saying that God was there at the beginning of the time is also wrong. It is not an object. There also we are trying to project the objective attitudes we have. That God was there in the beginning of time. It is not that. God was not there in that objective form at all. By nityam, although it means always, it means transcending time. That we should understand. It is not just it was there in the Adi and it will be there at the Anta. It will be, but that will not give us the real conception. Because again we are thinking in terms of objects there. Time, space, object. So here it means, nityam means it is transcending time. That the concept of time is mind-born. We should be able to think that. The concept of God, like that concept of time is also, it is in our mind, it is not in nature. Am I clear? Vibhum. Vibhum means who has got manifest as everything. That means all the forms have come out of him. Now naturally he cannot have a particular form. Then how can he embrace all the forms? That means transcending forms, which embraces all the forms as well as formlessness. See, when we say God is formless, again we are trying to specify. Or Atma or consciousness or Paramatma or Brahman is formless. We are saying that he is formless, that means he does not have form. That is also not true, because all the multiple, the infinite forms are also embraced in him. They have come out of him. So it is neither form nor formless. All kinds of infinite forms are within this. Formlessness also is within this. So the nearest expression will be transcending forms, not formless. Sarvagatam. It is everywhere. You cannot miss it anywhere. Why? Again you have to see that it is not that space is first there and God has penetrated everywhere. These expressions are there in our Shastras, but as an elementary expression. We have to go beyond as we go in spirituality. Here it is not that the God has penetrated everything in the existence. It is the other way. The whole existence is appearing in that consciousness. The whole existence is appearing in the consciousness. Suppose whatever we are seeing, this table, chair, light, hall, etc., we are knowing them only when they appear in our consciousness. The externality and internality, suppose our body also, how are we knowing? It is appearing in our consciousness. Unless the body, our body, mind, personality also appears in our consciousness, we will not know it. So the whole universe, of which my body, mind, personality is an infinitesimal speck, a small speck, is it not? The whole universe, of which I am a product of the universe, I am a product of nature. The whole universe, of which the body, mind, personality is a small speck, this whole universe is appearing in that consciousness. So can I call this consciousness to be within the body? Initially it is within the body, because to go within to find out who am I, who is looking at the world, we go inward. But when we reach that point, we understand the whole universe, which includes my body, mind, personality, is completely written in that consciousness. So it is the universe which is in the consciousness, not the consciousness within the body. It is the body which is in the consciousness, to be a little truer than that. All expressions are wrong, we are only approximation. We are only trying to approximate. So the whole universe, of which my body, mind, personality is a speck, is also appearing in the consciousness. As the many bodies, so many materials, they are revealed by the consciousness. My own thoughts, emotions, concepts, everything is revealed by the consciousness. So the whole perception is a play in the consciousness. As you write in the air, you can write mic, microphone, you can write elephant, you can write God, all are nothing but air or space. Like that, the whole universe is written in the consciousness, whether it is gross or subtle. So can you call it either gross or subtle? Nothing. Grossness, subtleness, all this subtlety, all these are concepts in the consciousness, written in the consciousness. It is not difficult, provided we get away from our usual constrictions, just freely try to imagine. It is not difficult at all. It is so. Suppose even whatever we are seeing or feeling, are they really like that? We are knowing everything first, they are getting the nerve currents. Suppose we have touched something and feeling it is gross or something is subtle. They are actually carried by electrical signals through the nerves. So as soon as they cross the outer periphery of our indriyas, say eyes also, after they have crossed the retina, it's all nerve currents only. So inside the brain you don't have any of the colors, nothing is there actually. It is all electrical signals in the brain. Some chemical processes also generating electrical signals only. Finally it is electrical. Now these signals are creating the whole world picture in the mind. That is happening in the conscious. The jugglery is happening inside, not outside. So that is why when we are sleeping, the same picture is generated without any external signal. Because if the same electrical signal is generated in the brain, then we will see the world according to that inside. The jugglery is in the mind. And it is created neither of the senses here. It's all some pulses inside, all similar electrical pulses. So the whole thing is happening in the consciousness, in the mind. The whole panorama, the magic of the world is taking place there. So Sarvagatam actually means it is all pervading in the usual sense, but it is transcending space also. Really speaking, it is transcending space, because the whole space is a concept in the consciousness. Susukshmam, we will analyze it in terms of subtle, subtler than the subtlest and all. But I will say that it will only mislead you, it will not give you the truth. The translation also you will find, it is subtler than the subtlest and all. Whenever we are speaking about subtle, subtler, this is all about the material world. Say the atom, the element, electron, proton are subtler than the atom. The further you go down to the further elementary particles, like they say God particle and all, they are still subtler than the electron, proton, neutron, etc. So it is only a gradation in the subtlety. Susukshmam does not mean that. Susukshmam means it is transcending this comparison, where grossness as well as subtlety is harbored. Where is the grossness projected? In the consciousness. Where is the subtlety projected? In the consciousness. So to reach the consciousness, we have to transcend our feeling of gross and subtle. That is the meaning of Susukshmam. It doesn't mean that the subtler than the subtlest. Because when we express subtler than the subtlest, we are objective. We are thinking that, oh, it is still subtler. We are seeing something. It is not that. It is the consciousness which is analyzing this. To get at that, we have to go beyond the gross, subtle concept. That is the meaning of Susukshmam. Now, why are we using Susukshmam instead of Sthula, that grosser than the grossest? That is also true of it, but why are we not using these expressions? In the verses, always we will find they are using the word that subtler than the subtlest, but not grosser than the grossest. Because our mind is always holding on to the gross things. We don't have to create any grossness in the mind. From birth, everything we perceive is gross. So our mind has got habituated in dealing with the gross. Everything it looks in terms of grossness. That is why any subtle subject we find it difficult. In physics also, Newtonian mechanics is simple because it deals with the gross objects. The moment you go to relativity, it is very difficult because it becomes abstract. So grossness is our inborn habit. We don't have to infuse it. By infusing subtlety, we are dealing with the grossness of the mind. You understand? The grossness has to be eliminated from the mind. That we are doing by thinking of the subtle, abstract, subtlety. When that deals with the grossness and the grossness is eliminated from the mind by the thinking of subtle things, then we can transcend both. You cannot transcend grossness remaining gross, because you have not been able to imagine the subtle. You are always surrounded by gross things. So to transcend, to reach the transcendental level, you have to first of all make your mind subtle by always thinking about the Atma, soul, whatever we have the concept. Thinking about the subtle things, Brahman, this, that, Shastras, etc. By thinking, when the grossness of the mind is dealt with, the ingrained, crystallized grossness which the mind suffers from, when that is treated with this constant thinking about the subtlety, then both are, we can transcend that. But without first treating the mind, the grossness of the mind with the subtlety, we cannot transcend because the mind is gross. It cannot embrace the subtlety. When we can understand both subtlety and grossness, then only we can transcend it. If we understand this tattva, this essential element in our Shastras, then the truth becomes very easy. That is why I am emphasizing it so much. Everywhere you have to apply the same formula. It is a simple formula. That our mind from birth, it has become gross by constantly dealing with the gross. And even if in our present time also, 24 hours, if you think how long you are dealing with the gross, at least 18 hours. In the dream also we are dealing with the gross. So you can say almost 23 hours except the deep sleep, we are dealing with the gross. So more and more grossness is being ingrained in our mind. If you read Shastras for 1 hour, only 1 hour you are trying to infuse with the subtlety. So you have to treat the grossness with the subtlety. How much of thinking of the subtle things is necessary for that? So when we treat the mind, the grossness of the mind with the subtle thoughts and all, then we can transcend both. The transcendental level can be reached where both grossness and subtlety are embraced. So all these meanings, nityam, vibhum, sarvagatam, susukshmam, they are spoken of in a comparative manner, in a material manner, because our all language is like that. But they all mean a transcendental reality. That susukshmam means which is transcending both sukshma and gross. Because in that subtlety is expressed, manifest. In that the most gross, the grossest thing also is expressed. Then comes the very important line, for that philosophy also will be involved. Tad avyayam yat bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhiraha. He says bhuta yonim, which is the source of the entire all beings, the entire universe. That is, for our causality we look for the source of the universe. So there is a source of the universe, Bhuta Yonim, that means the source of the universe. Now what is the source of the universe? He says that Avyayam, which is unchanging. Now do we know of any cause which gives rise to the effect without undergoing any change? Am I clear? Suppose this table, if it is burnt, it will become ash, the table will not be there. Suppose you create ice with the water will in its form will not be available, it will become solid. So any cause, when it dies, it becomes the effect. Dies means it undergoes the change. Suppose you have so much of atta, you make some chapatis from that, will not the atta reduce correspondingly? You cannot have 100 chapatis and the atta remains the same. So any material causal creation is like that. The cause changes by producing the effect. Even in the universe also, the hydrogen is becoming helium and it is emitting the light. So when the light is emitted from the sun, you don't get the hydrogen part has got changed into helium. So the sun is undergoing change every moment by radiating light. The cause is undergoing change. The sun, we may see that it is remaining the same. It is not the same. It has exhausted quite a lot. Whenever it is radiating, its original thing is getting exhausted by that. So any material causal creation, always the cause will undergo a change. Here he is saying tad avyayam yad bhuta yonim. The source of the universe does not undergo any change by manifesting the universe. That is why we don't say it is a creation of the universe in a way. It is a manifestation, apparent creation. See, here it is violating the causality. Causality is only in the created universe. By definition, you cannot take the causality beyond that. So we have to cross the causality. How they have specified this? If you think, you will understand that it is such a source which is transcending causality. That is, the cause is not undergoing any change when it is producing the universe. Suppose in our mind, you are dreaming. In our mind, have we not produced so many things, aircrafts, buildings and people and all? But the next moment they all go also. The consciousness remains consciousness. It is producing, it does not undergo any change. Suppose there is a mirage in the desert. You are seeing water or so many things, you think that there is water. But really, has the mirage the desert undergone any change? It remains the same because it is apparent srishti, it is apparent creation. That is why they give the example of the Rajju Sarpa, that you see a snake in the rope. Now there, the important point to be noted is that when you are seeing the snake also, really has the rope undergone any change? The rope remains rope, but you are seeing snake. So the production is an apparent production. Like that, we call it Maya because it is an apparent, the whole universe is an apparent production. But the moment we say Maya, you think that it is not gross and all. There we make a mistake, that it is something, that is why we are not able to conceive of this Maya. But grossness, subtlety, everything is within Maya. It only means that it is apparent creation. Grossness is also an apparent creation. Subtlety is also an apparent creation. So it is transcendental, it is neither gross nor subtle, it is embracing both. Suppose in the dream, why we always take the example of the dream? The moment you have the sankalpa, actually it is simultaneous. The moment you think of your mother, the mother's body and everything, your interaction is there in the dream. How long does it take to produce? No causality is there. Causality is only sankalpa. And you cannot call it causality because there is no time difference. It's not that you think of mother and then the mother is produced there. Can you say that? It's right there, simultaneous. So you cannot relate it by causality. This is to have the idea of how this non-causal creation. Everywhere they say the whole creation is out of the sankalpa of the God. Sankalpa means it is in the consciousness, just it happens simultaneously. You cannot relate it by causality. And in that projection, you have subtlety, grossness, everything. So our idea of having a gross reality different from this, that is causing a delusion. That is why we say Maya. Maya doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It exists as it is, but we have to understand that they are all a manifestation in the consciousness. Just like the dream sankalpa, the moment the sankalpa comes, we even cannot say the moment the sankalpa comes, the material is produced. It is together. You think of good apples, the apples are there. Before you think, the apples are there. It is simultaneous, and you eat the apple and the dream hunger is satiated also. It works in the dream. Like that, it is not individual dream. It's a cosmic dream of the consciousness. It's a cosmic dream.